Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you. It is April 7th today. We are into April, the first week of April, and the weather here has been up and down, as it is everywhere in the world, I'm sure. But wherever you are, I hope you guys are safe somewhere, safe, and I hope you're warm and cozy and having a good day. And if you prefer the cold, well, I hope that you're in a colder climate, and I hope that life is treating you well and that everything is going your way. What's our way? What does that mean? Well, in our way, in the recovery way, we talk a lot about acceptance, right? Acceptance being the key to recovery. And the key to acceptance is possibly maybe forgiveness, therapy, commitment, work in a program. Forgiveness is a big thing, right? And giving grace to yourself, right? We give thanks and we give a lot of credit where credit is due, because we know that we wouldn't be able to do this without God's hand, right? Without his influence in our life. And the way that we're going to do this is through a spiritual program, a one day at a time program. This program might look different for you, for me, for this person, for that person, but it does include all of us, and we're all under that umbrella, that proverbial umbrella. So, just like when we go into thinking that we don't need this, we don't need that in our life, and then we sometimes come into things where we find out that the things that we thought we needed the least are sometimes what we need the most. And I've found acceptance, gratitude, and being thankful and grateful for what we've been given. So when we talk a little bit about acceptance and recovery, we can be talking about a number of different things. But like me, I had lunch today with a very good friend of mine, and I also had another meeting with a very good friend of mine today, and I got to talk to two good friends of mine, and that's the part of the support system, right? So we were talking about acceptance and how acceptance is the key to recovery. And whether you're in recovery or not, acceptance can be the determining factor whether we make it or not, because we have to accept that we made mistakes and that we were a slave to whatever it was that we were a slave to that was making our life insane, right? Making our life unmanageable is a better word. And so when we accept the fact that, hey, we were once this person, we are not that person anymore, we have a lot better and more productive and spiritual ways and means of being a better person and having a better influence and example on the people around us in our life, right? Woo! Love talking about this. Pickup preaching is what I like to do the best, and I'm sorry if it's loud in here, but I gotta get these messages in when I'm thinking about it, because otherwise I lose the motivation. And today I had a really good walk. I had a really good lunch with one of my mentors, one of my really good friends, person that I really value their opinion and outlook and feedback and insights, and he's somebody he was very good at listening. And we were walking around our walking path, and we're talking about things that we have in common and things that we struggle with and things that we look to. And acceptance for me as being in the way of, like, for me, I had to accept the fact that basically the first half of my life was spent in traumatic situations, in massive substance abuse disorders, with bipolar, with CPTSD, with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, divorces, assaults, people being mean to me being mean to other people. And assaults, I mean like fights and stuff like that. And so I had to go through all of that to get to where I am today. So in order for me to be where I am today, I had to accept the fact that I went through all that, and that all got me here. So acceptance is the key to recovery, and accept the fact that we were once insane, but we're not insane anymore. We got to figure it out. We know what we need to do. And if you don't know, you need to know. You need to figure it out. You need to find that one day at a time program, that spiritual connection to the divine design for your life, right? And that's only going to happen is when we give up, when we surrender. I love the word surrender, but that's not the key word today. Key word is acceptance, and accepting that we were once the way we were, but we don't have to be that way no more. We can change our ways, and allowing ourselves some mistakes and slips and trips along the ways. But just like the good Lord tells us in so many different ways and means and shapes and forms, that in order for us to forgive other people, we gotta, in a sense, forgive ourselves and be forgiven and allow forgiveness to come into our lives. Therefore, accepting that forgiveness, here's our acceptance, acceptance, that we've made the mistakes and that we can start anew, start fresh today. And that one day at a time, ODAT, we call it one day at a time outlook, that's the refresher. That's the refresher course for us. Amen. Whenever you have something going on in your life or something is hard or whatever, we always bring it back and ground yourself in the one day at a time approach, because listen, we can carry yesterday's crap into today and today's crap into tomorrow, but that isn't going to help us any. We got to carry the solutions from yesterday's problems that we found solutions to, and carry those into the next day, and continually find these solutions that are going to help us stay on the straight and narrow and get this one day at a time program that's going to ultimately afford us a family. It's going to afford us a job. It's going to afford us to be financially stable. And you know what, you guys, I've been in recovery for a really long time, so I can say all this and I spit it all, and I recovery rap with you guys a lot, and I pick up preach and I pound the ground. I'm large and in charge. I'm a recovery guy, right? That's where I get my, that's where I make my and get my everything in my life revolves around recovery. It has to, otherwise I'll lose that, and everything in my life will revolve around a drug addiction or a drinking addiction or a gambling addiction or whatever it is that it presents itself to me. I'd rather be in a life in recovery from all those things and then some, and protect myself going forward. But I get passionate, very passionate about these things. Like, I look down and I'm driving like 80. I'm like, oh man, slow down. That's the proverbial sign from God that you're looking for, right? Slow down. Take it easy. I tell this to myself as I just experienced with you guys. I literally was looking down. I'm in a 65 mile an hour zone going 80. I'm excited to share everything and anything that might help somebody, anybody, everyone, anybody really, with what they have to tackle today. Because although I'm not fighting a heroin addiction today, I'm not fighting an alcohol addiction today, I'm not fighting a methamphetamine addiction or an amphetamine addiction or a this or a that. I've been blessed with sobriety and with a program and with recovery, and now I'm not perfect, nobody is, but we refine ourselves in our recovery through the divine design for our life, right? Through God's will for us. And how in the world are we ever going to figure out what God has willed for us in our life? And I'm not preaching religious stuff here, you guys. This is basic spiritual formula and principles that we have to have in order to see a different way. Not everybody is going to agree. Not everybody needs or thinks that they need a divine design for their life. They think they got it figured out, and we'll let them people think that. It's not my opinion and it's not my life, so they do them, and I'll do me, and we'll do us, right? And those who are a part of spiritual recovery program know darn well, low and high, far and wide, that we have to have a spiritual connection with the divine design in our life. Whether you call that this or that or this or that, we have to have some sort of connection, amen, with that divine design. Because if we're constantly doing our own will, we're constantly only thinking of our own solutions, we're bound to fail. And we're only going to realize that we're going to fail is when we fail. So instead of failing, set ourselves up for success and have a open, accepting heart that things aren't always what they seem, and that we can have a lot more power in our own life if we stand up and accept the fact that we've been places, we've done things that maybe not so savory, and we can change. We can be better people. We can do this. We have this opportunity to do it one day at a time, and I thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you guys for listening to the message. Thank you for being inspired, and I just appreciate you guys so much. Whoever's out there listening, I know there are a lot of people out there that listen that don't comment and don't let me know that they're listening, but I'm aware, and so I know that people are listening, and I'm going to try to keep up on these messages and try to get these out when I feel led to. I don't ever want our messages to be stale or saturated or diluted, right? I want my messages on my channel to come from my heart to yours, and for you guys to realize that this is a living, breathing thing we got to do. Our recovery needs work. it's like a baby, right? It's like you got to feed it, you got to change it, you got to make sure it's safe, you got to make sure that it's around safe people, you got to have boundaries, you got to have restrictions, you got to have descriptions, you got to know your haunts, you got to know your triggers, you got to know your emotional things, right? Because for us, this is what it comes down to, right, guys? So for us, this is what it's about. This one day at a time, divine design for our life. So whether you're in AA, whether you're in a church group, whether you're in an NA or this or that AA or this AA or this that AA, it doesn't matter. We're all in it together. We all have a spot at the table. Amen. So if you're catching this message today, you're catching it on YouTube or Facebook, wherever I've loaded it. And so I thank you. If you would, please just give me a like, a share. These things do actually affect the algorithm and all that good stuff. I don't talk about this at all ever because I don't really care about it much, but I am beginning to think that maybe there is some truth to that. And since they've got such a tight noose on our stuff, you know, give it a like if you would. And please, just, I'd appreciate it, you know, like from me to you. If you want to help me in my venture, please just like the video. And you know, tell your friends. Amen. So tell me what you think is helping you in your recovery, or what might help you in your recovery, because I would love to know what's helping you. Because for me, it is all about the information that we gather and that we apply to our life, right? So it's like coming up with a plan, you know, an idea, and then formulating how you're going to implement that idea, and then actually doing the action of implementing that idea, and then the fruits of your labor should come, you know, thereafter, because you have an idea, you come up with an execution plan, and then you implement, you execute, and you get it all out. That's how recovery is. You got to work the steps, and the steps are acceptance, surrender, forgiveness, make amends, you know, forgive just like you are asking to be forgiven. And everything should work out. So, hey, there's a nice day to be had here today. I'm going to continue to do my errands. I got to stop by the post office, and I appreciate you guys listening so much. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless you.